everyone, Mark here, and today this is a response video. The subject for this response is 90s death metal using only 10 albums, and this is a response to Metalmickey's channel. I'll put it in the descriptions below. And I watched his take on this, and I watched another gentleman. And I watched both of their takes on this, and you know, it's just a trend that's going around, the response. So I'm just continuing the trend that's for this. So so can you compile a list that is best tells the story of 90s death metal using only 10 albums? So 10 albums that we're using here. I also added some stuff to this list. So I gotta pick a band from Florida, a band from New York, a death metal band from Sweden, the UK. I picked Canada. Another one is the rest of the world. Something Strange, a technical death metal album. And then I added two different styles developed by death metal. So I'm going to start with number one, which is 90s death metal from Florida. I have to go with Death Spiritual Healing on this. It came out in 1990. Yeah, so Death Spiritual Healing. James Murphy was on this album. This is Death's one of the albums from the first three albums. You know, it just screams Florida death metal, especially at that time. Number two, 90s death metal from New York. So I'm going with New York State on this one, because I didn't really specify if it's the state or the city. So because Cannibal Corpse is from Buffalo, New York, and The Bleeding came out in 1994. It's the first Cannibal Corpse album that I've heard from them, and I totally love that album. And you can't say death metal without thinking of Cannibal Corpse in my book. Number three, 90s death metal from Sweden. Right away I think of Entombed, Left Hand Path. I'm sure a lot of people will probably pick Entombed, one of the essentials of Sweden death metal. And you know, that guitar tone, that HM2 sound, like you hear that everywhere. From back then to today, you hear that chainsaw guitar tone everywhere. So for death metal band from the UK, a buddy of mine got me back into this band back in the day, and it's Napalm Death. When I think of Napalm Death, I think of Suffer the Children from the album Harmony Corruption, which came out in 1990. Yeah, to me it's a death metal album. Yeah, like Suffer the Children, that song is amazing. I love it. So number five, I added one because like both of Metalmickey and the other gentleman, Mr. Boulder is his name. They added Canadian band, Canadian death metal bands to this, so I might as well add this as one of the categories. So when I think of 90s death metal from Canada, I think of Cryptopsy right away, and Whisper Supremacy from 1998. Yeah, it's my favorite death metal album. This album got me more into extreme, brutal death metal, especially from the Montreal, Quebec scene and stuff. A lot of people probably preferred Lord Worm as the vocalist, the earlier stuff, but Mike DeSalvo is amazing. To me, he was a game changer to more extreme style of vocals, especially the gutturals like down below, and he had more of a, I want to say, like a hardcore touch to the vocals. I don't know, I just found them very powerful, especially for compared to Lord Worm, what he brought to the table. Number 6, 90s death metal band album from the rest of the world. I'm picking Sepultura Arise from 1991. I think Sepultura in general brought a mix of death metal and thrash together. Arise is just a masterpiece of an album. Just the whole band is on their game on this album, and yeah, I think I do consider Sepultura like a little bit of death metal and of course thrash, but I think they had a perfect mix. Number 7, Something Strange. When I think of Something Strange, especially when I first listened to it, I think of Meshuggah's Chaotosphere from 1998. I bought this album. I really didn't know the band. I thought the album art was pretty cool, and I think I read them in a magazine, and I was like, I was going to give this band a try, and I was 21 years old, and I had no idea what I bought, so it took years and years to get into this album, but and get into this band in general, because the off time and their own style was very, very unique and very strange to me, especially as a 21-year-old man. So number 8, 90s tech metal album. When I think of technical death metal, I have to think of Death's album Human from 1991. It's their 4th album. Chuck, he brought in some members from Cynic, and this made this masterpiece of a technical progressive death metal album. It's just pure genius. So that's my technical death metal album from the 90s. Number 9, okay, so one of the 2 styles that I picked from death metal. So one of the styles is melodic death metal, and I'm going with Carcass Heartwork from 1993. Yeah, this album is just a masterpiece in general. Carcass is from the UK, and they kind of started with like grindcore, and then they made a more melodic style to Heartwork. And I don't know, the first time I heard and saw the video for Heartwork, No Love Lost, like I fell in love with this band. Yeah, this band's so important. I love it. So so number 10, another style I'm picking is aggressive death metal. Progressive death metal. And I'm going with Death Again, Sound of Perseverance from 1998. As you can see, I really love Death, and I think they're really important to death metal, and definitely I think they brought death metal to a rise. Sorry to all the Possessed fans out there, but that's my opinion. This is an important album to me because after listening to this album, I wanted to be in a metal band, and I'm still looking, by the way, to be in a metal band. So yeah, the guitar work and the songwriting on this album, from Human all the way to Sound of Perseverance, and even to Control Denied, Chuck and whoever he's had in his band have always brought a different level from the first 3 albums. Yeah, Chuck and Death, they influenced so many musicians from the 90s and even today. You know, you can hear that style from so many death metal and progressive death metal bands today, and you can just hear it, right? So anyway, so that's my list. So please respond to this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, man. And remember, metal never dies. Cheers, everybody.